In the heart of Moscow, at the southern edge of the Red Square, rises a cathedral so surreal it almost doesn't feel real. St. Basil's Cathedral, with its swirling candy-colored domes and flame-like towers, looks like something from a dream or a fairy tale more than a 16th century church. Its full name is actually a mouthful: the Cathedral of the Intercession of the Most Holy Theotokos on the Moat, but everyone knows it by the name of Saint buried here, Basil the Blessed, a wandering mystic so revered he was buried on the cathedral grounds. Over the centuries, this building has become more than a church. It's a symbol of Moscow itself, a landmark of beauty, power, and even mystery. I'm James, but online I go by Andrade. I travel sometimes in person, sometimes through deep dives like this, to the world's most iconic and enigmatic landmarks. While I sketch them live, this one in watercolor, we uncover not just their beauty, but their stories, secrets, and stranger layers of history. Today, as I paint St. Basil's Cathedral, we'll explore why Ivan the Terrible commissioned it in the mid-1500s, how its unusual design defies traditional Russian architecture, and why some believe its shapes and layout carry hidden symbolism and esoteric meaning. Because beyond its fairy tale beauty, St. Basil's has stories of mystics, alignments, and the whispers of legends, some so strange they've survived nearly 5 centuries. Grab a seat and watch the sketch unfold as we step into the history, design, and mysteries of Moscow's most famous icon, St. Basil's Cathedral. St. Basil's Cathedral was born out of conquest and spectacle, commissioned by one of Russia's most infamous rulers, Ivan IV, better known as Ivan the Terrible. In the mid-1500s, Ivan had just won a decisive series of battles against the Khanate of Kazan, expanding Moscow's power eastward. To mark his victory and to display Moscow's dominance to the world, he ordered the construction of a cathedral unlike anything Russia had ever seen. The official dedication would be to the intercession of the Virgin Mary, but its purpose went beyond religion. This was a statement of imperial might, a building designed to dazzle, intimidate, and inspire. Construction began around 1555, led by architects Postnik Yakovlev and Barma, whose names are still shrouded in some mystery. According to legend, though historians debate it, Ivan was so impressed by their work that he ordered them blinded, so they could never build anything as magnificent again. While most scholars doubt the tale, the story stuck, adding to the cathedral's aura of myth and fear. By the time it was completed in 1561, the cathedral didn't just mark Moscow's skyline. Its vibrant, almost otherworldly silhouette made it a visual exclamation point at the end of the Red Square, a symbol of Moscow's emergence as the heart of a growing Russian state. But St. Basil's was also deeply tied to the spiritual world. It was built on a site that, according to older records, had long been used for ceremonies and processions, a threshold between the Kremlin's political core and the bustling merchant district beyond. It was as much a stage for power as it was a house of prayer, and it would only grow stranger as its unique design took shape. At first glance, St. Basil's Cathedral almost doesn't make sense. A cluster of domes, towers, and chapels that seem to spiral and twist like something out of a storybook. But its design wasn't accidental. It grew out of a bold, layered vision. The core structure consists of 9 separate chapels, each topped with its own tower and crowned by a uniquely shaped onion dome. These chapels were originally built to commemorate Ivan the Terrible's victories, with each one dedicated to a different saint or feast day. The central chapel, soaring above the rest, is dedicated to the intercession of the Virgin Mary, tying the building's purpose back to divine protection and blessing. The result is a cathedral that feels less like a single building and more like a village of churches fused together, all sitting on a single foundation. The chapels are connected by a maze of narrow corridors and staircases, so walking through it feels almost like exploring a fortified labyrinth rather than a traditional sanctuary. The domes themselves, painted in bold greens, reds, blues, and golds, were added over time, with the most elaborate patterns and colors appearing in the 17th century, nearly a century after the initial construction. Their onion-like shapes weren't just for beauty. They're designed to shed snow and withstand Moscow's brutal winters, while their patterns were meant to dazzle pilgrims and foreign envoys alike. Over the centuries, St. Basil's became a kind of living monument, adapting to Russia's changing tastes and rulers. It survived fires, invasions, and even near demolition. Napoleon reportedly wanted to blow it up during his retreat from Moscow in 1812, but a sudden rainstorm extinguished the fuses his soldiers had lit. Every twist of its corridors and swirl of its domes tell a story of evolution, a cathedral that grew stranger and more spectacular with each passing generation. From the outside, St. Basil's looks like a grand palace of swirling towers and soaring domes. But step inside and you quickly realize it's nothing like the cavernous interiors of cathedrals like St. Peter's or Notre Dame. Instead, the interior feels intimate and labyrinthine. Rather than one massive open hall, you're met with a network of narrow corridors, twisting staircases, and compact chapels. Each of the 9 chapels feels like its own small sanctuary, decorated with frescoes, icons, and intricate patterns painted directly on the walls. The ceilings are low, sometimes just above your head, which makes the space feel personal, almost secretive. The walls are alive with 17th century floral and geometric motifs, bright reds, blues, and golds that echo the energy of the exterior domes. In some places, the corridors open into tiny alcoves where the faint smell of wax and incense lingers, mixing with the cool, dry scent of centuries-old brick and wood. The acoustics here are nothing like vast European cathedrals. There's no echoing organ thunder. Instead, the sound of footsteps and whispered prayers feels close, contained. During services, the choral chants resonate softly, weaving through the narrow spaces like threads of sound. Walking through St. Basil's is less about grandeur and more about discovery. Each turn feels like it might lead to a hidden icon, a flickering candlelit altar, or a narrow window framing Red Square in a way you didn't expect. It feels more like exploring a sacred maze than attending a traditional church, a journey inward as much as outward. Every element of St. Basil's Cathedral carries a layer of symbolism, not just for the Orthodox faith, but for Russia's identity as a rising empire in the 16th century. Each of the cathedral's 9 chapels is dedicated to a saint or feast day tied to Ivan the Terrible's victories and spiritual milestones. The central, tallest tower is dedicated to the intercession of the Virgin Mary, reflecting the belief that divine protection guided Moscow's triumph over Kazan. The chapel over the grave of St. Basil the Blessed, a wandering mystic beloved by Muscovites, gave the cathedral its enduring popular name, turning it into a shrine as much as a state monument. The colors and patterns of the domes, added mostly in the 17th century, also hold symbolic weight. The vibrant reds, blues, and greens weren't just aesthetic choices, they were colors traditionally associated with heaven, earth, and eternity in Russian iconography. The gilded elements reflect divine light, meant to make the cathedral shine as a beacon over Red Square and the Kremlin. The very shape of the building, a cluster of towers radiating around the central spire, symbolizes unity within diversity. At a time when Russia was expanding into a patchwork of territories, St. Basil's stood as a visual metaphor. Many parts, one center, one faith, one empire. For ordinary Russians over the centuries, this symbolism has made the cathedral more than a church. It became a national icon, a sign that Moscow was not only the seat of power but also a city under divine favor, guarded by its saints and its sacred architecture. St. Basil's Cathedral doesn't just stand out because of its color. Its entire structure breaks the rules of Orthodox church design. Creating something so unusual, it's been compared to a flame frozen in stone. The cathedral's footprint is built as a kind of geometric mandala, 8 chapels arranged symmetrically around a towering central sanctuary. This pattern forms an 8-pointed star, a symbol of renewal and cosmic order in Christian and older Slavic traditions. It was a bold break from the standard cross-shaped layouts seen in the most Orthodox churches, making St. Basil's stand out not only as a religious site, but as a statement of Moscow's growing uniqueness and ambition. The onion domes, each with a distinct pattern, spirals, scales, stripes, chevrons, aren't purely decorative. Their tapering forms help shed snow and withstand Moscow's fierce winds, while the rigid textures catch sunlight, making the domes glitter even during the long Russian winters. The very designs mean that no 2 domes look alike, adding to the domes and the building's surreal, almost living appearance. Structurally, the cathedral was remarkably advanced for its time. Its deep foundations and reinforced brickwork have allowed it to survive for nearly 500 years despite Moscow's shifting soil, fires, invasions, and bitter climate. Historians often point out that even Napoleon, when retreating from Moscow in 1812, was unable to destroy it. The fuses his army set to blow it up were snuffed out by a sudden downpour. Beyond its engineering, the entire composition, radiating chapels, rising central tower, glowing domes, is often seen as a symbol of heaven meeting earth, with the central spire acting as a vertical axis, a bridge between the mortal and the divine. Beyond its beauty and historical importance, St. Basil's Cathedral carries an aura of mystery and hidden meaning, the kind of intrigue that keeps historians, mystics, and travelers speculating even centuries later. The first layer of mystery is in its shape and symbolism. From above, the cathedral's layout forms what many interpret as an eight-pointed star, a shape often linked to resurrection and cosmic balance in Christian mysticism, and to the Star of the Virgin in Eastern Orthodox symbolism. Some esoteric scholars argue that the pattern goes even deeper, reflecting pre-Christian Slavic cosmology, with the central tower as a, quote, world axis, or bridge between realms. Then there's the nickname often given to the cathedral, a, quote, flame of stone. Its twisting upward reaches domes resemble fire frozen mid-movement, a design some believe intentionally symbolizes the Holy Spirit descending as tongues of fire, while others suggest it echoes the Zoroastrian fire temples once present in territories conquered by Ivan IV, tying the cathedral to a broader Eurasian spiritual lineage. Local legends add even more layers. One persistent story claims that St. Basil's was aligned along ancient trade and ritual routes, placing it on a kind of sacred line connecting Red Square, the Kremlin, and older Slavic ceremonial sites near the Moskva River. Whether coincidence or intentional, it feeds the theory that the cathedral was designed as more than just a victory monument, perhaps as a cosmic marker anchoring Moscow's spiritual heart. And of course, there's the most famous legend that Ivan the Terrible ordered the architects blinded so that they could never recreate its design. While historians doubt the tale, the story reinforces the idea that St. Basil's was one of a kind by design, a building meant to stand as a singular, unrepeatable symbol of Moscow's destiny, its colors, shapes, and alignments holding meanings only a few may truly understand. Nearly 5 centuries after its completion, St. Basil's Cathedral still feels like something out of a dream, or maybe another world. Its twisting domes, maze-like corridors, and star-shaped layout make it unlike any other church on earth, a building that feels alive, as if it's still flickering like the flame of stone it was meant to be. Through wars, fires, and even Napoleon's failed attempt to destroy it, St. Basil's has endured not just as a church, but as a symbol of Moscow itself. A beacon on Red Square tying Russia's medieval past to its modern identity. For travelers, pilgrims, and artists, it's a place that doesn't just impress, it lingers, pulling you into its corridors and legends long after you leave. Painting it stroke by stroke, watching those bold colors and curving domes take shape on the page, is a reminder of why these places captivate us. They're not just landmarks, they're living stories, holding pieces of history, mystery, and myth in every brick. If you want to join me as we explore more of the world's most legendary cathedrals and monuments, sketching them live while uncovering their histories, secrets, and hidden symbols, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next Sketch and Story episode, turn on the bell so YouTube actually notifies you when we're live, like this video so others who love art, history, and mystery can find it, and tell me in the comments, which cathedral or legendary site should we explore next? We've got more iconic, mysterious places coming up, and I'd love for you to be here as we bring them to life, brushstroke by brushstroke.